Alafia, aho, ase, namaste, and thank you for watching Shadow of Wolves. Do be careful of scammers. Anyone that uses my name to solicit you for a reading and starts to directly message you from any platforms is not me. If you need a reading or you need spiritual services, whatever it is, please look in the description box, and do know that all readings and all spiritual services are done face to face. Readings are done where you're talking to me face to face in completing your reading, on video, never through email or anything. So please be careful with scammers. Now, let's begin, and I will mention that again, okay? Let's talk about Francisco. Let's talk about Ta Jose with all blessings. Oftentimes we speak about beautiful madamas. Some speak about Franciscas. But what about the spiritual energy of the Eggun that walks within your court? Aha! And blessings to all the Ta Joses and Franciscos. Both names combined, we say Francisco. Many of you say Ta Jose. Do know that this energy has to be rectified either in a prayer mass, deeply within a reading. Those of you who are children of Palo Mayombe, Palo Monte, and so forth, Vititi Congo, and so forth, normally and naturally you do have in your spiritual court the energy of a Francisco. He gets often confused when people see him coming down. They say, oh, that is Siete Rayo, or that is Salabanda. These are different spiritual energies that are granted by the gifts of God. Some say Sambi. They are granted to you, and they are appointed to walking with you in your spiritual court. Everyone, whether you're from Europe, Africa, China, Japan, and so forth, you have spiritual guides. But it doesn't mean that your spiritual guide, because they're famous and they're really known, that they are in your court. This is something that definitely has to resonate with you. This is something that walks with you. This particular energy are energies of protector spirits. But normally these energies are ejected from the beautiful faith of Palo. So let's begin. When you know that, for example, you have, some say siete potencia, some say 7 African powers in English, you know that you have that energy walking with you. For example, you come from Africa, or you have roots within Africa, or you have roots of the Caribbean. Different energies from the Caribbean all the way to Africa and around the world have appointed spirit guides. Normally and often we speak about the energies of Franciscas. Madamas are absolutely beautiful. They are protectors of the house. They are protectors of you. They are also energies that have went through the walks during the times of slavery, and each of them had a different path of what they walk with. Some of them walk with the energy of fire, for example. Some of them walk with the energy of plants. Some of them even walk with the energy of water. Sometimes, this was a long video waiting to come. Sometimes people misconstrued and they say, oh, well, the energy of my Francisca directly only has to do with the path and the camino, with the road of Yemaya. Not necessarily so. There are different energies of madamas. So why not there being different energies of Franciscos? Now, what do you normally like? What do you like to do? The energy of those of you who are walking with the energy of your Francisco, your Ta Jose, you may like to work with plants. You may be a natural medicine man. in curing others with teas and holy liquids and so forth, in knowing the blessings of what comes out when you help and you cure others. So why not, if a Francisca, some say Madama, they come through in a misa, why can't a Francisco come through in a misa? Why can't a Ta Jose? Yes, they can. So, for example, a recent prayer mass that was here, a beautiful pastor came through. And in his life, he was a cowboy. That needs to be respected. Why? That is that person's spiritual energy that came through in what we call Mesa Blanca. Some say Misa, some say prayer mass. Your energy of your Francisco will come through within your lineage. So, for example, he can come through from Haiti. He can talk to you and walk with you with all blessing and give you the spiritual light that you need. However, wherever you have the energy of a Madama, some say a Francisca, you have the energy of a Francisco. So do know, with all love and respect, many confuse this energy and saying, oh, this is a Salabanda, and a Salabanda or a Siete Rayo or so forth came through in a prayer mass. No, this energy belongs and he needs to be respected and understood. Is a Francisco, with all blessings to Francisco. So let's talk more about Ta Jose and a Francisco. And I thank all of you who are patiently watching. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, keep the algorithm going. Do know that there is only one shadow of wolves, as I'm very grateful forever and a day for my goddaughter, who is a very, very strong tarot reader and who has helped me to build that LLC to make sure that the name is protected of Shadow of Wolves. But even if they steal it, you can never be Shadow of Wolves, with all blessing. Let's continue. Why am I telling you that? Be careful of scammers. People have often complained that they have cash apped or sent something for a reading, and if I'm not seeing you face to face, far less I never message anyone unless you message me first. Follow my description box if you are interested in a reading, spiritual consultation, and so forth. So going back to Francisco, this energy of Ta Jose is very powerful. He can be in the lineage of your grandfather, of your grandmother. He comes through so beautifully, and oftentimes he is associated with the energy of being an Eggun within the beautiful faith of Palo Monte, Palo Mayombe, Vititi Congo, and so forth. Yes, he is in a spiritual court. And just as there are different energies of, they say Gitana, Gypsy, they say Franciscas, Madamas, Indios, the Commission of Indigenous People, with all blessing, he can have every rights to be present not only in a prayer mass, but also when we have drums or when your family is having drummings and so forth. It doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, this is Siete Rayo himself. However, my testimony in seeing a beautiful Ta Jose one day, when he came through in a Mesa Blanca, he was known as Viejo. He couldn't see, but his senses were up and running, and he gave confirmation and cleaned and spoke to everybody in that prayer mass. However, he did come from the pot of Palo ejected. Remember, you have your Palo pots, but your Palo pots also walk with spirit. So why not Francisco? Why not Ta Jose? Why is he not spoken about oftentimes on the internet? When you look for him, there's often music, you know, his picture is there. He is absolutely beautiful. So let's talk more about the paths of Ta Jose. And blessings to those paths. Some worked in the field and they knew a lot of herbs and medicines, and they helped to cure people. That Ta Jose, if he is in your court, that means he's able to cure. He's able to see your ailments. He's able to walk with you and to understand what's going on with you scientifically. In Jamaica, they have a term, and blessings to all our people in Jamaica. They say, oh, that person wants to science you. Well, some say brujeria, some say obia, some say voodoo, which voodoo is a beautiful faith and it's really misunderstood. The term in using science is the perfection of that Tahose. It is a perfection of that Francisco that walks with you, that gives you the ability to help and heal others. Some work with fire. Some make tobacco water. You take your cigar and you crush your cigar and you put that in the water naturally, and you make your natural tobacco water. Your energy and your faith, those of you who are walking with the blessing of the Siete Potencia, or blessing of your Tahose, will give you the clarification and walks within your spiritual court. So your Tahose or your Francisco may very well look different from someone in blessings to my people from Trinidad, Guyana, Barbados, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, all around the world in blessings. They walk with your spiritual energy. So if your Francisco speaks Creole, that doesn't mean that, oh, this person belongs to voodoo or the 21 divisions. No, that's the language that they speak. There are different branches of Franciscos and different specialties. With all blessings, some of those spiritual energies have all combined. Some of them work in healing you with snake skin, animal skin, or just candles or flowers and plants, and they know what they're doing. So everyone's spiritual court needs to be accepted. So for example, if there is a Tahose or Francisco and he's coming from Trinidad, he definitely will have a beautiful accent in speaking to the people who are there to be cleansed and blessed. Now, let's go in a little bit further. Some Franciscos really do, if they're walking with you and you know for sure you have a Madama in your court, you have gotten readings that confirm that, you know the colors that she is wearing. The same thing applies to the spirit of your Francisco. Know the energy of your Francisco. And how do you do that? Start developing a relationship with your spirit guides. It is nothing scary. It is nothing evil. They are appointed through the energy of God to come down and walk with you, just as we have people with different energies and different evils. Well, you have people that work with light. Those Tahoses and Franciscos, if they come down and they come down uneducated, God forgive me, or if they come down doing things that are very hurtful to people or disrespecting people, that spirit needs to be elevated, needs to be educated. It has to be trained. When I say come down with, for you to understand, we say mounted, but for you to understand, not using the term possessed, but he will come through you to clean people and talk to people. If by any chance he is disrespectful or promiscuous or whatever he's doing, he has to be lifted. He needs prayers and light. When you know for sure that you have the beautiful energy of a Francisco that's walking with you, sit down on the floor as Eggun, as we use the term Eggun, meaning bones and so forth, coming in from your lineage from Africa, traveling with you from the Caribbean and so forth. Sit with him, have a cup of coffee, have rum, have tobacco. They're very simple offerings that you can give to your Tahose. They're very simple offerings that you can give to your Francisco. So sit first and just give light and prayers. Okay? Look in my description box, as my description box will describe different offerings that you can give once you develop a relationship with him. So do know that the energies of Francisco is not necessarily, when you see it, you're like, oh, that's a Salabanda. How did he come down in a prayer mass Mesa Blanca? Untrue. He can definitely, for sure, for damn sure, come down in a prayer mass as a Francisco, just like a Francisca can. So some people know the names of their Francisca, some don't. Normally, when you have one, they work together in pairs in working with the energies of masculinity of your Francisco, working with the energies of femininity for your Francisca. These energies must be highly respected. So how do you know? How do you prepare for this? When you know for sure that you have a Madama in your court, and you know for sure that you have been scratched, for example, you can be what we call an engao. You were presented to the pot, you were scratched. You can be a yaya, you can be a tata. You know that these energies work within your court. They come through the energies of what we call palo. Not all Franciscos are in need of sacrifices or blood and so forth. Some walk with the energies of the beautiful commission of Indians. I don't like to use that term anymore. I like to say indigenous people. They can come from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Guyana, and so forth. And necessarily all they're asking for you to do after you give your praises to God and so forth is to recognize them and give them light. Then you start giving your tobacco offerings if you are over 21. You start giving your rum and so forth. So for example, some Tahoes don't even drink rum because maybe in their life that's what destroyed them. So you need to know how to work with your spirit guides. You need to know what he drinks. So for example, your Francisco coming in from the 7 African powers, he could simply like to drink Cersei tea. For those of you who are coming in from the different nations of the Caribbean, maybe he drank bush tea, which is a form of Conde Amor and so forth. It is important for you to understand your spirit guides, to know how they walk with you. So when you present, if ever, after you develop and you have light and so forth, they'll also fuse with your personality and your intelligence, but never doubt them within you, because the prayers of the spirit guides that are walking with you simply walk with you and ask you for your light and prayers. So those of you who know, there's so many videos on In Blessing to Mama Francisca, in blessings. As you know, they say, estoy amando. So you know, but what about Francisco? What about your Tahoe? Maybe he was a tobacco chewer. Maybe he liked to walk in nature. Maybe he felt the realm of the different spirits and he is elevated already. That's how you know. So do know, in blessings to all of you, with love and respect, that this is an energy, in blessings to Francisco, as he's from Haiti, Puerto Rico, Africa, and all these different energies of these nations need to be recognized. So when you see him or you feel him, because those of you who are walking with him will definitely feel him, do know that he walks with you. Sometimes we use, I have this on my lap, so those of you who need, sometimes we use different colors to clean ourselves. We use what we call paño, or sometimes we use materials. Whether yours have the energy, say for example, of the waters of blue and white, and he had an avenue. He could have been even crowned in Orisha faith in his life. He could have been crowned as a child of Yemaya, and he knows the secrets of the ocean, and you have him presented with blue and white. On the other hand, he could have once been crowned with the energy of Chango, and he wears red and white. But it doesn't mean because you see me wearing red and white or someone's wearing green and black, all of the energies walk with you. You need to know which one walks with you. The color representation is not as necessary as your spiritual faith and belief. Your spirit guides will stand there and watch and look and say, you know, let me see how well I'm being taken care of. Most of them, even the Tahoes, even your Franciscos, they could even be your great-great-grandfather. Perhaps he was a bushman and he knew how to use a machete to cut plants down and work with them. Perhaps he was a warrior and so forth. So for example, even when we're going into initiations of the law, and say your initiation is within Sanse, some of you very well may have your main spirit guides as a Madama or as a Francisco and so forth. Those main spirit guides must be recognized before going to high level deities. They are just as high in level, but it's what you give and what you put out. So yes, they can be presented in a mesa blanca. Can your grandmother be presented and be mounted through you? Yes. Can your grandfather, can a pastor that once lived and now he wants to give spiritual recognition to those who need it? Yes. You need to work with understanding, inner standing, and some of us overstand the energies that walk with you. It doesn't mean because they are very well known that they walk with you. So why put something in your court that does not belong to you? You are born with the gift of God with many other energies that walk with you. Some walk with the energies and the power of what they say witches, curanderas, brujas, and so forth. These are not evil energies. They were just banished during the time that they were misunderstood to take away the spiritual power that we walk with. Do know, lastly, in blessings, we work with all the energies of all the elements. So when you ground yourself and you're working with the energy of your Francisco, when you ground yourself and you're doing prayers, perhaps he was your great-great-grandfather and so forth, do know that you're working and you light a candle with the energies of fire. You're smoking your cigar, fire. When you have that spirit guide is lifted and he starts to sync with you, he'll be able to talk through you. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter if you look like yourself. The only one that you need to prove yourself to is the light of God and the light of your spirit guides. And once you never doubt them, they will always become one with you. In blessings, remember, we all have to cross over. Who is going to reach and meet you when the time comes? In blessings to Yeshua, in blessings to the Holy Spirit, in blessings to you crossing that bridge. Your ancestors know what it is like to live in this world, in the incarnated flesh. They will teach you on the other side. But were you with them? Did you also work with them? And some of them who are not lifted, train them on the other side? Those of you who have gotten readings from me, and I thank you, when you're told to lift your ancestor or lift someone that you know and love, did you do that for them? So their hand is reaching, and when it's time for you to cross over, you have no problem in going to the light. So do everything that's right. Alafia, aho, ase, namaste, and blessings to the great Jose, and blessings to Papa Francisco, and blessing to you in the light of God, and blessings. Thank you for watching Shadow of Wolves.